for everyone clocking those late night DFS hours. This is our night shift episode for week number 9. Of course, we also have an early morning game this week, and it might just be a good one. Dolphins Chiefs overseas. We'll break down all 3 of those games. And if you haven't yet, be sure to check out our player projections episode right now over on the Action Network podcast and our fantasy preview of the main slate right now on this channel. I'm your host, Chris Raybon, and I am joined by one of the most accurate fantasy football rankers in the game, Sean Kerner, the odds maker. Sean, what's going on?
What's up? Yeah, this is going to be a fun week. I'm going to be in Palm Desert for a bachelor party for one of my buddies. So going to be a bit limited in terms of content this weekend, but I'll be updating projections, especially Sunday morning. And I will absolutely be watching this fantastic Sunday morning game. I can't believe they're having this game 6:30 in the morning here. But yeah, this looks like a fun primetime slate for sure.
Yeah, well, definitely have fun. And I think last time you were out, they asked me to do like extra props. I think I went 2-1 and then swept on Convince Me. So
nice.
Hopefully I can hold it down for you again and make all your rabid prop followers proud. I am coming off that Roshan Johnson fade of a win and then got the Lions spread on Monday. So I'm on a little primetime winning streak here. So hopefully we can keep it going.
You have to mix in some tackles props for me.
Yeah. I mean, you got the model going on there. I don't even have a tackle.
I'm building the ship at sea. I don't know if it's a model quite yet, but I've been definitely attacking those props. Gives us something else. Some of these offensive, like some of the games, like all the props on the offensive side of the ball, I'm like, they all look good to me. So being able to look at defensive props it's given additional opportunities to find some value, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the worst feeling when you're like looking for something and you can't even find anything.
Yeah.
So I like where your head is at, and if you want more of that great mental thought process, be sure to check out our Discord link in the episode description. I know Sean is on there chopping it up a lot with the fans and people following. So be sure to check that out. And let's get right into this Dolphins Chiefs game. Chiefs favored by 2.5. The total is 50.5. So kind of sitting, 51 is a key number for totals, I believe, right? Sitting right under there. 9:30 a.m. Eastern. This game will take place on NFL Network in Germany. So we had a few London games. Now we're going to Germany, and could be potentially a preview of an AFC playoff game, maybe even the AFC Championship. You also have the Bills Bengals, which is another one. So let's kind of dive in, and we'll start with the luck rankings. Kansas City's been middle of the pack. Miami's been the 8th luckiest team, but no real edge as far as that goes. I think we're kind of expected points here, but I will say Chiefs offense, Mahomes seems to be a little bit worried that other teams are going to try to copy what Denver did, but Miami, I mean, they haven't been a good team yet. They've kind of been beating up on some bad teams. So with all of that said, what are you thinking for this game, and who do you like best in the captain spot?
Yeah, no, it's going to be a close game, probably high scoring. I think that, Mahomes was definitely under the weather last week. I think that might have had a lot to do with his struggles. So for the captain slot, I'm going with his number 1 target here. I'm going with Travis Kelce. He still had a good game, even though Mahomes is struggling. But, if Mahomes bounces back with a big game here, it's going to be Travis Kelce who probably will have the captain-worthy game. Plus, the Dolphins have struggled as a defense. They rank 5th worst in DVOA against tight ends. I can't imagine them really coming up with a way to slow down Kelce here. So while he might be chalky, I don't care. There's a ton of good options to use in the captain slot here, so I don't think his rostership will be like insanely high here. But I do like going with Kelce in the captain slot for this game.
Well, if you're going to go with Mahomes' number 1 target, I'm going to go with Mahomes' number 1 target of points over the last few years, and that's Tyreek Hill in a revenge game. I think it's interesting because I think paying up in the captain spot is something that it's not going to be as common as it is in, like a Steelers Titans game where you can afford everyone. So I think the key will be kind of building some unique lineups around, the one or two guys that you really like, the one or two studs you really like, because this is one of those type of slates where there's a lot of expensive players and whatnot. But just because there's a lot of expensive players doesn't mean you should fade, the guy capable of just breaking the slate. And I think, Kelsey and Tyreek are those two guys. I mean, Tyreek has been unreal. He has at least one touchdown in 7 of his 8 games, fastest ever to 1,000 receiving yards. Already got it after 8. He's played a whole season in 8 games. He has, it's just absurd. And while this Chiefs defense has been playing well, they do have some good corners, and Steve Spagnuolo is a good coordinator. It really hasn't mattered with Tyreek this year. I mean, he's gone off against everyone. The only bad game he had was Buffalo, 3 catches for 58 yards. He's had 100 or more receiving yards and a touchdown in 5 of 8 games, 88 yards and a touchdown on 11 catches in another game. And then relatively quiet 5-catch, 40-yard, 1 touchdown game against Patriots defense that specifically looks to take away number 1 receivers. And then the second time he played the Patriots, over 100 and a tutty as well. So he's matchup proof. He's out for revenge. And this Chiefs offense, regardless of how they looked in tough divisional matchups against Denver, where, weird things happen, I think the Chiefs will be able to bounce back. You have seen Mahomes, he throw for over 400 just 2 weeks ago against a bad Charger D. And, Dolphins should be better now with getting, Ramsey back in that secondary. So, but to your point, I think, lean on Kelsey here, and that should be good things for Tyreek, correlated as well. So what are you doing for value?
Yeah, so for value, I'm going to actually go with the Chiefs' clear number 1 wide receiver right now, and that is Rashee Rice. MVS, Justin Watson, Sky Moore are just out there running wind sprints, it seems. And then Kadarius Toney, who typically sees targets when he's on the field, has been pretty much phased out at this point. The one player I think could start eating into Rice's usage going forward could be Mecole Hardman. But again, he's being eased back in. I don't think he's a real threat here. So, I love using Rice in this game. 4 straight games now of 4 more receptions. This should be a very pass-heavy game script for the Chiefs. One where they might be trailing at some point. So I like going with Rashee Rice here.
Yeah, and he's left some meat on the bone. I mean, really, all the Chiefs receivers have. But some key drop passes. But Mahomes says, "Hey, I'm going to keep going back to him." So I think he's clearly the wide receiver to invest in this Chiefs offense. That's probably what they're missing. That's probably really what's a lot of the reason behind Mahomes' struggles. I mean, you taking sacks at weird times, and just kind of trying to hang in that pocket, waiting for somebody to get open if it's not Kelsey. So
you know who they could use at wide receiver right now?
Tyreek Hill.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah.
God, man, at one point we had Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, and Travis Kelce on the same team. Damn.
Yeah, for good. I mean, hey, we got a good amount of years, and I love this for Tyreek too, because him going to the Dolphins just made them a very unique, very fun watch as well. So okay, for value, so let's see. So I mentioned you're gonna have to go off the board a little here. So you know what? I was gonna talk Pacheco, but he's gonna be a little too expensive. So I'm gonna go with Jeff Wilson Jr. for value here, because I do think Miami is still gonna have a lot of respect for Patrick Mahomes. McDaniel's probably gonna say, okay, when we're not throwing to Tyreek and Mostert and Waddle, probably still want to have some run plays. And the thing about Wilson is he's been kind of eased back in, and hasn't really had a big game, and probably won't, because Achan's coming back soon. But he had 5 carries in the last game after having none in the first game. He just played mostly on passing downs, didn't get a carry, but he's been used in short yardage and kind of the backup early down back. So Miami's an underdog, so could be a little, I mean, small underdog, but could be a little bit contrarian here, kind of playing a positive Miami game script. And Wilson could get some goal line looks. He could get some short yardage looks here. And, Savon Ahmed will probably play more on passing down. So, kind of a off the board, the Clyde Edwards-Helaire almost of the Dolphins. And everyone's expecting, this close game, high score, and a lot of passes. But if things go to opposite, you got to tell that story. How are you going to get a unique lineup? Well, maybe the Chiefs do keep struggling. Maybe, Vic Fangio, who's a very good defensive coordinator, who, by the way, spent time coaching the Denver Broncos that just slowed down Mahomes twice in 3 weeks. So if anyone can kind of understand how to transfer part of that scheme over, it's Vic Fangio. So I think Jeff Wilson is going to fly a little bit under the radar because he's come back, hasn't really done much. He's not like a fast guy like Mostert or Achane, so no one's really thinking about him. But 5 carries last week, maybe even some short yardage, and also, some leverage if Mostert gets hurt, or, everyone's probably going to just try to catch lightning in a bottle with all the different, cheap receiving options in it. The Chiefs have a bunch, like 6 or 7, and then, the Dolphins, everyone not named Hill or Waddle, Braxton Berrios, Wilson caught a touchdown last, Cedric, that is. You still got Claypool, maybe Craycraft is back. A guy to watch if he gets activated. But I'm going to go off the board with Jeff Wilson here.
I like it. I was hoping you'd use him as a dart throw because then I would bet on his anytime touchdown, which we've seemed to, like, anytime we have a dart throw, they seem to score a touchdown. So I think that Wilson, Mostert's probably the favorite to lead the league in rushing touchdowns right now. Wilson could definitely vulture him here. So he's definitely worth a flyer.
All right, who do you like for dart throws?
Oh yeah, so I'm just going way off the board here. I think for this game you kind of have to. If you get a guy like this to hit, you'll have a better shot of taking down one of these GPPs. So I'm going with River Craycraft, who you just mentioned, who could be returning from the IR. I think he is. And if you recall, like by week 3 this year, he was really pushing Braxton Berrios to be the number 3 wide receiver. So, if he returns, I think he'd be the number 4 receiver. I could see him pushing out either Cedric Wilson and or Chase Claypool from the wide receiver rotation. So, he could run around on 30 to 40% of Tua's dropbacks and what could be a pass heavy game script. He could do some damage there. Plus, Durham Smythe might be a bit limited, which could open up like one target for everybody else. So it's worth mentioning. But, Craycraft, I doubt his rostership will be really anything. So I think he's kind of guy that has vulture touchdown potential, could sneak in a couple catches. So for this game, I like going completely off the board and going Craycraft here, if he is activated, of course.
Yeah, no, I that's why I mentioned. I didn't even know you were going to go with him, but I think he's the perfect kind of play for this slate where, there are just so many options, and the guy coming back off IR, IR, is not really top of mind for anyone. So love that one. Let's see. Who do I want to go with? Am I going to stick with my initial guy? Yeah. Excuse me. Jerick McKinnon. So again, when you build these lineups, you got to try to tell stories. And how do we arrive at this unique combination of players being the 5 or 6, whichever, depending on what site you're playing on, optimal players to have in your lineup? And I already talked about, hey, maybe this could be another sluggish game for the Chiefs, and you play some Jeff Wilson, and the Miami running game kind of gets going, and that's the way they try to take down a good team, is by limiting the opposing offense, because Josh Allen and the Bills put up 40 plus on them. The Eagles were able to get to 30 plus and could have had another score at the end, but they kneeled it out. So you could get a run heavy plan for the Dolphins. And on the other side of that, I think that would lead, a trailing Chiefs game script at some point. And I was down on this guy heading into the year, and thank goodness, because I would have been pissed if I spent like a top 40 running back pick on him, and that's Jerick McKinnon. But this is the perfect type of game for a Jerick McKinnon blow up, and we know it. When he blows up, it's usually multi touchdowns, like designed plays for him. So I like the chances of that happening. This is one of the best, if not the best, offenses in the league. So another team that could put the Chiefs in a hole. And if you think about narratives and Chiefs, this happens usually at some point during every season, I would say recently, that the Chiefs offense hits a little funk. And what happened last year to really break the Chiefs offense out of a little bit of a funk? Jerick McKinnon just started going ham. I think he had that streak from weeks like 8 through 15 where he scored like 9 touchdowns in six or 7 games, a touchdown in every single game pretty much. So I think they're going to say, okay, our wide receivers are struggling. They lack experience. They're not playing well. Everyone's ready for Kelsey. He's going to get his, but we need some more support. Who can, kind of make some explosive plays for us? And I think that's still Jerick McKinnon. So I think maybe, you take him out of some of those pass blocking responsibilities that he's usually on the field for. And you maybe draw up some screen passes for him. Maybe you draw up some plays in the red zone for him. Maybe you hand him the ball more than just 1 or 2 times a game. So that was something that definitely worked around this time for Kansas City last season. And with the disappointing season that he's had, another player that I don't think will be super, super popular on this slate. Again, just so many options. And, McKinnon has been eating into Edwards-Helaire's usage a little bit. Edwards-Helaire is kind of the mop-up Craig Reynolds type of a back. So, another, dart throw if you think this game could get out of hand. But I like McKinnon, to kind of play the angle of maybe the Chiefs struggle with their wide receivers again, which everyone's going to have a smattering of. So give me some McKinnon.
Definitely worth a dart throw, and definitely worth a anytime touchdown dart throw too.
Yeah, or even multi-touchdown too, because that's like I said.
Yeah,
when he gets 1 touchdown, a lot of times he gets 2
touchdowns in week 3. That's it for him.
Right. I mean, it might already be it for the way this season's going, but I just need you to hit this dart throw, Jared. Come on.